All right, welcome back to Wisconsin Weather Experts right here on Fox Local. We appreciate you joining us each and every day at noon. If this is your first time and you enjoy it, tell others, bring friends. We want to have everybody watching us. We're also on your YouTube if you want to use that. That's available on the FOX6 News YouTube channel as well. Lots of ways to get all the information we've got for you. We've got a lot going on today.
Oh, yeah.
You're going to have the big picture here in just a few seconds, but beautiful out there right now.
Yes, I mean, it's one of those days you don't want to be at work when it's sunny.
Yeah,
It's so nice out there, and the weather, I mean, temperatures aren't bad either.
No, it isn't too bad. It looks warmer than it actually is, so
Yeah.
don't let the sunshine fool you. But still a beautiful day, and anytime we get sunshine, it's always a good day to be in Milwaukee. But yesterday, a couple of things went down yesterday. So let's talk first about the Pick and Save fire, which, off the top, you're probably thinking, well, isn't that just news? What's that got to do with the weather? Well, here's what happened. So it was a West Milwaukee Pick and Save. They're closed now for the foreseeable future. They had a fire break out. Started actually in the back of the building in a dumpster, and it was happening just a little bit before noon, so right before we were doing this show here yesterday. The store had to be cleared out. There was quite a bit of damage at the back of the building, roof also damaged. But now investigators, here's where our part of the story comes in, are saying that the weather, the wind that we had yesterday, now remember those wind gusts, Holly? We had wind gusts the last couple of days, 40, 45 miles per hour.
Yes.
So that wind, we all know, right? When you try and make a campfire, you blow on the campfire, try to get some more oxygen to flow across the coals and fire it up. So that wind fanned the flames of that dumpster fire, and now investigators are saying it was that wind that spread the dumpster fire to the store. So that's the weather connection there. And I can see why yesterday, because those wind gusts were very strong.
Yeah, it was very, very strong yesterday, and it was pretty much starting at the very beginning of the day, and it went all the way through at least the evening.
Right, let's listen to this here.
The intensity of the wind was a problem, and we had to call for a second alarm assignment.
Yeah, there you go. So amped up the intensity of the fire and also amped up the response as well, as you can see there. The good news is things are obviously under control now. Bad news is that store is going to need a lot of work to get back into gear. So Pick and Save employees did tell us off camera that there is smoke damage inside the building, but it's unclear how long the store will have to be closed at this time. Now, that wasn't the only fire. It was the only dumpster fire, but there was another wildfire as well.
Yes, in Waukesha. So most of Southeast Wisconsin's under a very high risk of wildfires right now. So this one fire, at least today, on the side of I-43 in Waukesha, pretty much near Vernon, that is with the dry stretch of weather that we've had. These windy conditions like yesterday is a prime for the wildfires. The DNR says they're seeing double the average number of fires to start the year. You don't really think about wildfires really being in Wisconsin. You think about snow all the time.
Sure, well, in California kind of stole that headline for days and days, much to their chagrin, but it does happen here, obviously, the very dry conditions, and yesterday that fire did pop up. It got under control, not nearly the devastation of some of the other wildfires, but it's a good point. Yeah. And I think even lifelong Wisconsinites don't always think about it as much as they should. I've been here 20 years, and there are sometimes I'm guilty of it, that I'm, on a very dry day out there mowing my lawn. All it takes is for that lawnmower to hit a stone or spark, and then next thing you know, your backyard and the neighbor's backyard is on fire. So when you have a dry stretch like this, or if you are going to be doing any backyard cleanup, or anything like that, make sure you check. Just there's a website, our website, you get the DNR website, and it'll tell you where we're at and whether or not it's safe. And always have something prepared. Never start a fire without being prepared to put it out.
Right.
You've got to have the water or a hose or something handy. Now, we are going to get some water eventually in the form of rain. Not today. Today's a dry day, but later in this week, things start to pick up. So why don't we go take a look at the big picture now?
All right, you guys. So the bigger picture here, we're just going to look across the nation. We're getting a little bit of everything. We're still dealing with snow in some areas, at least for the northeast portion of the United States. They're dealing with a little bit more of that leftover snow. We are pretty dry here. We have the high pressure system. That is what's providing providing us with all of our sunshine, but we're also seeing some low pressure systems, and that's where we're getting some of that rain in some of our other areas, at least for some of the central areas of the United States. And some of that rain, in fact, is going to push closer to our area. But here's a closer look at some of that snow. They're getting a little bit more of that rain too on the opposite side of that system. But overall, they're going to be dealing with snow during their Easter, all of their Easter festivities. Before that snow moves out, it's probably going to be still a little bit cooler as well. But let's take a look in our area here with our Sky Vision Plus for Milwaukee. Overall, we're going to stay pretty dry today, and that's again thanks to the high pressure. We may have a little bit more of those afternoon clouds start to swing into our area, which most of them are already still off to the west. They're not quite in our state just yet, but they will be by the time we make it to the end of the day today. And even by 9:30, a little bit more of that thicker cloud cover in our area. Wind speeds across the state will definitely stay at least on the lighter side, but we will have those wind speeds to begin to pick up as we head into Thursday. And Thursday is when all of the changes are going to be made. Thursday, for the first half of the day, we're just going to be dealing with a lot of clouds for most of Milwaukee and even most of Wisconsin as well. But you do see around 5:30 p.m. a little bit more of that heavier rain starts to move into the northwestern portion of our state, and that's going to continue to track across the whole state. So tomorrow is definitely going to be one of those days where you're going to want to have the umbrella. You're going to want to at least have the app so you know exactly what's going on in your area, and even tuning in during the times of all of these storms. But even overnight, the coast will not be clear. This is Friday around 2:30 in the morning. We're still going to be dealing with a lot of that rain continuing to push through the area, and that's also going to be dealing with at least some of the heavier wind as well. So it'll be a similar situation to what we saw yesterday with our wind. The good news is most of that should be out of the area at least by 8 o'clock in the morning. This is 11 o'clock on Friday. Again, we're going to still keep those clouds in the area, and even a little bit of that rain will stay lingering from this system in the northern portion of the state, but then we get another round of that rain. So we're definitely going to get a good taste of rain out of this system within the next 2 days. And that rain is going to come again for Friday's forecast, but it's looking like it's going to be a little bit more of that scattered rain, not necessarily any of the severe, at least for the afternoon hours. As we look at our severe threat, though, here is what we're expecting so far. We're going to be overall in a slight risk, but we do have, at least to the west of our viewing area, we're going to be dealing with a little bit more of a marginal risk. Now, I know you're wondering, what does all of that even mean? Well, here we are. Here's the severe risk category. So we'll start with marginal first, which that's going to be for some of our western communities there. They're going to be dealing with limited intensity with some of their storms. Isolated thunderstorms could be possible, and most of it will be short-lived. That's going to be for both the green and even the yellow here. But the difference with the yellow is that we could have a little bit more of tornado possibility. 1 to 2 tornadoes could be possible and a very strong wind threat. But if you're going to be in that green area, you'll have more of a wind threat and even a hail threat. So you definitely just want to know where your safe place is just in case. But we're definitely going to be hearing probably some rumbles of thunder out of this, so don't let that scare you. Let's look at our temperatures right now across the Midwest. We're looking at a lot of everything. Some areas looking more like spring, some areas still feeling like winter. 39 in Marquette, 64 in Des Moines, 68 in St. Louis, 67 in Kansas City, and then we're at 51 in Minneapolis. We are still pretty chilly here in the 40s in Milwaukee. We're at about 42, and then 47 in Chicago. Here's a look at those temperatures for at least the state of Wisconsin. We're seeing some other areas that are a little bit warmer. Like in La Crosse, they're already in the 50s. We'll definitely warm up a little bit more in the 50s closer to our viewing area here in Milwaukee. But we're also seeing some warmer temperatures in Green Bay. They're at about 46 degrees right now. Rhinelander at 42 degrees. Duluth at 41. And then Eau Claire at about 47. Still more warming up to do. Here's a look at those forecasted highs for today. Everybody is expected to get up to at least the 50s for majority of the state. We have some areas that could at least stay in the 40s. Marquette will get up to about 41. Duluth will get up to about 45. But as you look, we're seeing a lot of areas, even Dubuque, they could get up to about 61 degrees today. And this is not even the warmest day of the week. Friday is going to be the warmest day of the week. week. We could get up to 52 degrees here in the Milwaukee region. As we continue and we look at some of our temperature trends, here's what you can expect. By Friday, we'll be up to about 70 degrees. That's about 15 degrees warmer than what we would be for today. And then we have a cold front that's going to move through. That's going to drop temperatures back to near the average in the 50s. Here's a look at the day planner for Milwaukee. Pretty much going to be dry all day today. A few clouds could move in. Temperatures will warm up just a little bit more. We'll keep wind from the southeast as we take a trip to Green Bay. Same situation, but Green Bay is going to get a little bit more of that sunshine and a little less of those clouds, and they'll warm up a little bit more than we are here in the Milwaukee region. Same with Wausau. They're looking similar to what we are here in Milwaukee. However, they'll be a little bit warmer as well. They could get up to at least the 50s today, almost the mid-50s before they start to settle down with their temperatures. But everybody is going to be staying dry, even Rhinelander. Rhinelander is looking really nice for them today. Their forecast, they're going to be right at that 50-degree mark or just a little bit above with a lot of sunshine. Same for Eau Claire, but Eau Claire is going to get a little bit more of those clouds, as you see. They're also going to warm up a little bit more. They'll warm up closer to that 60-degree mark. They'll be in the mid-50s at least by the time they make it to at least a 5 p.m. mark. Here's a look at La Crosse. Same situation. They're going to still be holding strong in the upper 50s by the time they make it to at least the evening time. They're still going to have a little bit more of those clouds as well. And lastly, let's take a look at Madison. Madison is not looking too shabby either. They are just going to have a lot of those clouds overall, and they're going to keep those temperatures in the 50s. But I like seeing the 50s, and I hope you guys enjoy seeing the 50s as well with all the beautiful.
I like seeing the 50s, except on my birth certificate. But that part's not so great. But let's talk a bit about yesterday, too. You were talking beautifully about the future, but I want to look back because we on the show yesterday had our very own Brett Lemoyne and, of course, the National Weather Service's Tim Halbach talking about the National Weather Spotter training. Wanted to follow up on that. It was a packed house. They had a full house out at the Economowoc Public Library yesterday. Storm Spotter training course got a lot of attention. It was sponsored by the National Weather Service, of course. They're trying to recruit more storm spotters in every Wisconsin county. The radar is great, but when we have eyes on the ground, it's so much better. National Weather Service actually says that people tend to pay more attention and take it more seriously when they know someone has seen it with their own eyes.
And they're more apt to wake their family up, get into the basement, and be safe.
All right, there, and one person said they wanted to learn how to spot tornadoes just because they've always been fascinated by storms. So whatever your motivation is, whether you're very community-oriented and you want to just get involved and help keep people safe, or you're just fascinated by the weather, like a lot of folks right here at our Fox 6 Weather Experts, get involved. Look for a Weather Spotter class. We've got the post on our socials and on our website, or you can go to the National Weather Service page and find it there as well. But I'm excited to see it was a packed crowd there.
I know. That means we're going to get a lot of pictures whenever we do have these storms. That's good when people come, because that helps us out a lot, because we can't go out and see these storms because we're here looking at all the computer monitors.
Exactly. Well, and modern Doppler is amazing. I mean, it can look, we have a debris tracker now, vorticity, velocity. We could really analyze this thing, but nothing will ever beat a human being actually looking at it and reporting what's happening. It also just has a psychological impact, as Tim was pointing out from the National Weather Service there. It makes people, calls them to action, and that's what we want to do. We want you to be safe. So kudos to those that showed up. You saw the crowd was pretty diverse there. Some old, some young, every color under the rainbow, so everybody can get involved if you want to check it out on the website. I want you to stick around here, though, for a few more minutes. We have a lot of weather experts left. We're going to check in with meteorologist Tom Watts after this. All right, welcome back. Wisconsin weather experts here on Fox Local. And yes, it has been an interesting few days, right?
Even yesterday, it started off kind of crazy with the mix.
Right.
And then we went from that to sunshine and windy. It was a lot going on.
We've had a lot of high wind gusts of late. And so to look at that and kind of dig deeper into why we're seeing that, we turn to Chief Meteorologist Tom Walks.
Well, we often get the question, why is it so windy? And here we go with more wind. Now, wind is caused by a change in air pressure. Well, we're used to seeing these on weather maps, right? The big blue H's for high air pressure and the big red L's for low pressure. Well, when you get stuck in between a high and a low pressure system, that's when the wind picks up. It's a greater pressure gradient, as we call it, or change in air pressure. Now, note here as well, these black lines. These are called isobars. They are lines of equal barometric pressure. And the bottom line with this is the closer the black lines are together, the windier it is. And we can also denote the wind direction with counterclockwise winds flowing around low pressure, clockwise winds flowing around high pressure. So in this case, we have northwesterly winds. So again, it's that change in air pressure that causes wind. It increases that pressure change or pressure gradient. And again, the stronger the system, especially the stronger the low pressure system, the stronger the winds tend to be. But it's not just about the wind strength, it's also about the wind direction. So here's why that matters, why wind direction really plays a big role in what kind of weather we get. Northerly winds often blow in colder air masses. Well, that makes sense, right? Because it's typically colder to the north of us. Southerly winds typically blow in warmer air masses, right, or warmer air. So when we get that big push of south or especially southwest winds, that's when temperatures really start to go up. But Wisconsin, of course, is interesting. It's not just cut and dry when it comes to northerly or southerly winds. When we get easterly winds and you live near the lake, yeah, we know what that can do, right? That can really cool us down, and especially in the spring and summertime, it can create those lake breeze boundaries, which is interesting because it's kind of like a mini cold front that can actually spark thunderstorms from time to time as well. So we have kind of our own microclimate here as well. But again, going back to wind in general, it is caused by that change in air pressure. But then as meteorologists, we are also looking very closely at that wind direction to see what type of air mass is coming in, or if Lake Michigan is going to play a role in some spots.
Yeah, the wind. I've gotten numerous people in my inbox and on social media asking me about the wind lately. So great to kind of do a deep dive there. You know, and it has been a windy spring.
It has been. And honestly, I almost want to look at the stats of how windy it has been for the month, because I feel like we've talked about wind, not just in April, though,
right,
in March and even February. And we have even more wind to come. Wind is going to pick up again come tomorrow.
There you go. Well, and as we start to see, you know, some climate change, as we start to see more intense storms, that means we're getting higher highs and deeper lows. And as Tom was just talking about there, as the air rushes from one to the other, the deeper that pressure gradient, so the higher the high, the lower the low, the stronger the wind is going to blow. So it's interesting. Plus, you know, we're urbanizing a lot of things. So you take out a lot of those wind baffles like trees and urban, rural areas rather, and it changes how you're impacted by that wind as well. It may not change the actual speed, but it changes how much it hits you and how much you have to deal with it. So interesting. We'll keep talking about the wind, I'm sure, for quite some time, but not right at this second. We're going to take a quick break and come back with more Wisconsin weather experts.
Well, welcome back, everyone, to Wisconsin Weather Experts, and we have a little bit more to talk about here, from what's going on in space and even too what's going on in your own home.
Yeah, in your own home. It's we talk a lot about light. Daylight. We just got through the whole annual debate about daylight saving time and all that kind of stuff. And it turns out light really can impact you, even a night light. Like, I know if I don't get enough daylight that I'm impacted. I even have a full spectrum light back here in the weather office to kind of give me that wake up call. Well, it turns out having a night light by your child's bed might actually be impacting their sleep. Dr. Brian Chen with the Cleveland Clinic says there could be several reasons why your child is having trouble sleeping. However, a night light may be doing more damage than good because it can mess with the circadian rhythm, which we're talking about with the daylight nighttime, right? So Dr. Chen says research shows that if you're going to use a nightlight, a red-colored one might be best because it doesn't disrupt the melatonin production. That's, that sleepy drug that people take. It's like a little additive. It's not really a drug, I mean, it is technically, but it's, like a little gummy sometimes people will have. Anyway, you produce it naturally, and that's what helps you to get sleepy. The color red, though, might be a little too scary for some kiddos. Then a good alternative would maybe be an orange or an amber colored light, so it would have minimal disruption on the melatonin. Dr. Chen says the location of the nightlight is also very important. He adds it should be placed closer to the ground and shouldn't illuminate the ceiling. That makes a lot of sense. My kids were never nightlight kids. Did you sleep with a nightlight?
Oh, I did. I definitely did. And I still use my lamp to this day.
Oh, really?
Until I'm actually where I'm falling asleep and I can just say, Alexa, turn the light off.
Okay.
But yeah, I never knew that as far as the color, because I have a bright white light and I just dim it and I'm like, I'm not falling asleep, I'm not falling asleep. So maybe I'll try red.
Right. I mean, some of the ones that you do see, they're mostly kind of a blue, which seems like it should be like a nighttime color, but that's disruptive for the melatonin. So yeah, I guess I might switch them out. Try a red and I get where red might not be great because if you're a monsters under the bed kind of kid, a red glow, it's not going to help.
The shadow.
But yeah, I get an orange, amber kind of pumpkin flavor going on there. That might work really well. If you do make the change, let us know if it helps your kiddo out. We're always looking for feedback. And if you have any other feedback you'd like to give us, well, please do. We'd like to hear your weather questions, if you wouldn't mind. Just scan the QR code there on the screen. Any weather question, any earth science question, atmospheric, space, if it's science, we'll try to tackle it. So send us your questions, please. We appreciate it. You've tapered off. We were getting a lot of questions for a while, but it's been a couple of days since I've gotten a good one. So come on, step it up, people. You got to be a part of the show here.
Yeah, we got a lot going on and a lot to ask about.
That's right. There's tons of questions out there. Just pick one. One question might be, would you ever want to go to space? Would you?
No.
No?
I don't. Maybe I have to be already older, really old. Not now.
You're I have to be ready to step off the earth literally and figuratively?
Yes.
And then you'll go? Okay.
Yeah.
Well, we all know that, of course, it was a historic space flight just the other day with the all-female crew. One of them happened to be Gayle King. She's now going viral because of the face she's making right there. As she was boarding the Blue Origin. She looks
Worried.
stressed, right? I mean, she's like, what have I got myself into? What is happening? There she is, I guess, kissing the ground. Some folks, I guess, online are commenting that her face gave off a look of regret. She has since clarified that she was indeed absolutely terrified, and who could blame her for that? And she just wanted to get to her seat and get started. Despite the nerves, though, she says she knew she wasn't going to back out. She wasn't going to call it on the last minute. Days after this whole thing, though, she's laughing at all the memes that are coming out of this. I guess that face has been kind of, when you've made a bad choice. So I can see, but yeah, I would love to go to space. The 11 minutes, I would go for a minute if someone would pay for it. I don't have the connections or the money to make it happen. But I'm absolutely making that face getting on there. I mean, I'm not going to pretend I'd be like, yes, let's go.
So you wouldn't be the girl behind her that was like, she was smiling.
She was like, this is me great. Like she was going to Six Flags. I would be nervous.
Yeah, I
right?
would
Because
too.
anything, it's space flight. Anything could happen.
Right.
But I would never step away from the opportunity to do it, just like Gail and the rest of the crew there. What a great opportunity for sure.
Great opportunity.
You're right, though. I didn't even notice that before. Gail's look is like, what have I done? The woman right behind her is like, here we go. All right, thanks for watching Wisconsin Weather Experts. See you tomorrow.